Sup? What are you doing? Where are you at?
Hello. Hello, everyone. Hi. Happy Tuesday. Happy Christmas Eve Eve. How's it going, guys? Welcome in. We've got so many lovely friends in here already. We've got Cantle Snail came in and grabbed the first redeem and gave me some pets. Thank you, Snail. Thank you, Snailer. We have Damsey here. It's nice to see you again, Damsey. Lady Ace is here. Hello. Hello. The blind Archer. Hi, Archer. Pluto's here. It's nice to see you here, Pluto. Welcome in. Salty's here. Salty's here. Hi, Salty. Jawazaki is here. There's a cheek puff for 10 stream streak. The 10 stream streak commemorative cheek puff. Wow. Welcome in. I hope you have a lovely time today. Ayuyu's here. Hi, Ayuyu. Yes, I'm painting doggos today. I'm painting puppy dogs. These, if you've ever heard the dogs barking in my house, these are the dogs that live in my house. So as not to dox them, I won't be saying their names. But they're puppies. They're puppies. So yeah, aren't they cute? Can we give them streamer names? Yes. No, you can't give them booty names though. No booty names for the dogs. But I gotta say this quiet. Hi, Anne. Happy birthday for subscribing to me. Thank you very much, cause you could have watched for free. Please enjoy the emotes and watching without ads. Thank you for supporting me. I'm glad we could be friends. Hello. Hi. I gotta say this quiet. I'm gonna draw them, paint them as a Christmas present for my fellow's mom. A Christmas present for her. Because she loves those dogs. She sure loves those dogs. Every night, she, like, prepares a feast for them. Like, they get kibble and, like, raw chicken, and they get, like, oils, like, you know, all sorts of goodies. All sorts of absolutely delightful goodies for the dogs. Who is this dog? Chi-Chi! Are you snooping? We got the recursive stream going on. Chi-Chi, you're live right now. She's like, oh. Watchers are wannabes. Stream tunnel. Yeah, we got a stream tunnel. I do. I snoop on Chi-Chi's. I snoop on Chi-Chi's stream all the time. Yes, these dogs are the dogs that live in my house. These are pictures from when this one is much younger. So she's a little older now. Oh, hype training coming. Oh yes, I've got my sea monkeys going. I love them. I love them so very much. There's something I totally forgot to do. Let's turn on the discount. Before anybody gift subs, let me turn on the discount, because I want to do those for the rest of the year. Where are they? Because we've got hours for it. Let's see, how long am I gonna be live? Probably like, no more than 4 hours, honestly. Huh? Why can't I do it? I have 4 of 7 promos remaining. I am enrolled. I'm not opted. I'm opted in, but I can't. Oh, wait. You can distribute this over 4 promos. You can start new promos anytime. But I have 4? Huh? I don't know why it's grayed out. Well, anyway, if you wanna, if you want hype emotes, How did that start? Well, if you want hype emotes, get a 100 bits in, because that gets you a hype emote. I already have all the level 1 ones, but yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna draw these doggies as a Christmas gift, and I think she'll really like it. But it's a secret. Shh, it's a secret. Okay, okay. Christmas gift. Wow! I'm so happy you guys all showed up today. It's super nice, super nice. Well, yeah, we have the 1 sub from earlier, from a little bit ago. Ian's delightful sub. Do you guys notice that kind of happens sometimes? Hype trains just kind of start seemingly out of nowhere. I'm so confused. Why is this not available? They get delayed? Ah, maybe. Am I not allowed to start one during a hype train? Is that what it is? It's grayed out. Can't. Oh, this feature is temporarily disabled because of another upcoming or active promotion. Please try again later. So it's probably the hype train. That's probably what it is. Literally 1984, right? I can't take this. Well, ironically, I'll probably be able to turn that on once the hype train's gone. And if somebody gets in on it, then it'll probably start a new hype train. I'll be drawing my Secret Santa while watching your stream. I need to get it done before Christmas Day. Yes, art streams are delightful for co-arting. Getting some art in together. I love it. Someone subs or gives bits, then like a few minutes later there's a train. There's only been like 1 sub yet though. I don't know. There's art to share today. I'll show you the progress. I hope we get some art share today. It depends on, because there's like a time that I gotta get out of here. But if we have time for it, absolutely, I would love to do an art share today. If not, you should post it in the Discord so that I can see it there. Look, a snail shell. I want to thank you. I just opened Pokemon cards because winter break. Oh yeah. And now it's binder time. 1 illustration rare and 1 full art and 12 packs, plus a few Pokeball reverse holo versions of cards I needed for my binder. Ooh, I love messing with binders. I love binder care day. Okay. Oh, Woobat illustration rare! Wait, there's Woobat illustration rare now? I gotta check this. Woobat. Oh, yeah! Woobat and Swoobat. Oh, I have seen this. White Flare. So cute. So stinking cute. And the Swoobat is really cute too. Look, they love each other. They're in love. The full art was Whimsicott. Oh, you had that, Woobat? Aw, this is so cute! You know who would love this? I'm sending it to Chi-Chi. We'll never pull it up on our stream. I don't know if we're allowed to share this yet. Hey, Ayuyu! Are we allowed to talk about the thing that you're planning? Because if not, I won't talk about it yet. But... Ooh, you got the rarity below that Whimsicott. Still really cool, though. I just wanted to send her that. That's me! She said, that's me! Me and Chi-Chi are gonna be doing, thanks, Cheesecake. Me and Chi-Chi are gonna be on Ayurisu's channel sometime next year, for Ayuyu's, those Swoobet while testing it out. We're gonna be part of, like, what's the run called? Some kind of Double Trouble randomizer? Double Trouble randomizer? Collab? Relay? Is the challenge how many people can play a single game of Pokemon? So let's see, how do I summarize this? Ayurisu is inviting 2 streamers at a time to backseat a section of the game. Yeah, the Double Trouble Relay. Wow. Backseat like a double battle version. Double battle randomized version of the game. It's really exciting, and Ayuyu has asked Chi-Chi and I to be one of the teams. It's capped at 16 people. Ah, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Hi, damsel. Hi, damsel. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I've been kind of depresso lately. It's really nice. It's really nice to be chilling and hanging out with you guys. I was really, like, weirdly nervous to start stream today, but you guys are such a soothe to my soul. Such a soothe to my very own soul. I gotta recalibrate. It's so fun to hang out with you guys. Thank you for being here for me. Same. It's... this is probably why we have, like, winter holidays. Because, the seasonal depression hits so many people so hard. So we gotta figure out some way to make it joyful, right? Oh, yesterday, why is the calibration off? Like, I'm looking over there. Yesterday I wasn't very online. Oh yeah, there we go. Yesterday I wasn't very online. Specifically, I was taking a break because it was my 12th anniversary with my fella. We've been together 12 years, which I think is absolutely beautiful. I'm happy we can make you feel better. Ah, you guys are so sweet. Thank you for the huggy, Salty, and Damsel. Everybody being so sweet. Ayuyu. I'm a little upsetty too, but it's not really anyone's fault. Yeah, we just gotta, like, get through it. That's why I'm, like, getting so... Yeah, 12 years. 12 years is absolutely lovely. That's why we're getting so into the holiday spirit, right? So that we can enjoy something nice. Distract ourselves with something pure and beautiful, right? Like Christmas. Yeah, so to celebrate yesterday, he had to work, but after he got home, I asked him, I talked about this a little bit on Chi-Chi's channel too. I asked him, what's your favorite movie that's, your favorite movie that, is, like, objectively bad? And he said Master of Disguise. So we watched that. I'd be invited to the wedding. Oh, that would be lovely. Our wedding is probably gonna be, like, family and, like, close IRLs only. But that would be lovely. I'll do a V-wedding stream. I don't know what objectively bad really means. I think if you watched Master of Disguise, you would understand. Man, did he deem you turtle book club. I don't really think any movie is bad, but I'm not objective. It's... Sometimes you just know in your heart. Oh, hi, Nazcat. Turtle. It's just like so ridiculous. I'll say Megamind because it's about a bad guy. It's the best I can do. Yeah, that's fair, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know if I really like any movies that are objectively bad. Like, I don't know if I have a favorite movie that's objectively bad. If I had to say something, this movie is kind of contentious. I've heard some people say they hate this movie and it's awful. But I've heard some people say it's like a masterpiece. I really like Napoleon Dynamite. What's up, Tomo? Well, he's doing the thing again. I really like Napoleon Dynamite, but it's kind of contentious. People either really love it or really hate it. So I don't know if it's objectively bad or not. One sec. Oh, Bird! He's been doing this lately, where he'll start getting really chirpy during my stream. I think that's one of the reasons I'm a little nervous about streaming lately, because he keeps doing that. I haven't watched that in a very long time. Megamind I think is objectively good. Napoleon Dynamite is boring to me? That's valid. That's valid. Jupiter Ascending is one of my favorite bad movies, but it leans into the camp, so it might not be bad. I feel like a movie that leans too hard into being campy misses the point. But I never heard of Jupiter Ascending. Salty, I just remembered that we were supposed to watch some sort of movie! Like forever ago, and then plans just fell through! Or we never really made a plan. Oh my god, I just remembered! We gotta do that sometime. Shakes you, lovingly. Ernest and Celestine! Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry I forgot. I love looking up a movie and then seeing a Reddit thread that's like, this movie is an incomprehensible nonsense. Yeah, I don't know how much I can talk about this, but yeah. It seems wild. I've been waiting. I'm so sorry, Salty. Bug me about it. Bug me about it. I won't feel bothered. I promise. Ooh, yes, please share your good news. Share your good news. Evaporate to the max. Thank you for following, and I hope you're staying hydrated if you're evaporating so much. It's a toss-up between the original Super Mario Brothers movie and the live-action Street Fighter. I have never seen either. I really do gotta see that, like, old Super Mario Brothers movie. I really do. Like, the one with the live-action. Wait, no, that was the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, wasn't it? You guys will have to educate me. A monster in Paris, if I can wrangle you for a double feature, that sounds delightful, Salty! Jonathan, one time there was a field trip at school where we were going to a water park. The bus we were taking had like screens there to watch movies, but nobody had a movie on except for my parents, who had Free Birds and another movie. Everyone complained so much about Free Birds being awful. I don't know it. I don't know that movie. Then the other disc was scratched up or something and couldn't be watched. So Free Birds played again and everyone was complaining so much. Oh, Jazzy! Wait, yippee! Jazzy, welcome in! How was your stream, my friend? Dogs, please. Oh, here's dogs. Here, doggies. Here's doggy pictures. Dogs, please. Oh my god, Bean 80 cakes. Buzzbot is Mike Wazowski-ing you on the stream avatars. Get out of here, Buzzbot. No, wait, that's Nady Cakes. Wait, Buzz, there you go. There's Nady. Look at, there's Nady. Down at the bottom. Yippee! We've got, let's see, who's coming with the raid? Jezzy, of course. Hello, Jezzy. We've got Quasimodo, Nady Cakes, our delightful friend Nady. Brennalist, welcome in. Jada Funk, hello. Hi, Jada. J Kim, welcome in. We're here for dogs. Oh, you're painting Home Alone, Mom? Do you want to share? Do you want to share? The cheesecake? Oh, shucks, you're too nice. Good dogs. They are very good dogs. Although, this one, he thinks... he's been thinking that the Christmas tree we just put up needs to smell more like pee. So he's been in trouble lately. I know the movie became like a meme. What? Which movie are we talking about? You guys can catch me up once we're saying hi. Once we're done saying hi to the raiders. He looks like he does think occasionally. Yeah, every now and then. Usually he's thinking about eating the cat's food. Hi everyone. Yippee! I'm Crystal Cheesecake. You can call me Cheesecake. I use they, them, or AMR pronouns. I'm a bunny fairy doll VTuber. Maybe the dog heard Christmas pee, not Christmas tree. That's fully possible. Bunny Fairy Doll VTuber. We are fighting that seasonal depression and getting real festive. Usually we're doing art. We like character art, a little bit of painting. We like a little bit of pixel art now and then too. Ooh, me and my older sister raised $1,000 on Ko-Fi for our dad. It was an emergency and I reached our goal. Oh my goodness. I hope everything's alright. That's lovely though. Yeah. We also like playing indie games, retro games, and Nintendo games. And we like chilling with each other, getting to know each other, having a delightful time, and spreading love and positivity. So if you like that kind of vibe, I would love to get to know you, and if you're new here, feel free to introduce yourself. Yay! Where's that link, Jezzy? I wanna see, if it's okay. You could be an art tax evader. Hello, Coffee, welcome in! Oh, a family member. Oh, okay, I see. It's all good for now. Woof. Well, I'm glad things are working out. Alien Isolation speedrunner. Not with the way I play. Not with playing Ring Around the Rosie with the alien. Duggies. I'm a mixed streamer, actually. I'm a they them. But I'm doing good. I'm in a nice mood hanging out with everybody. And this delightful raid just come in. Oh, we got Jesse's link. Let's see. Whoa. Sweet. Can I make a confession? I have a confession to make. Good squared. Excellent. Beautiful. I have a confession to make. I never watched Home Alone. I've never seen Home Alone. Not once. Never once in my life. When I worked at the video game store, and yeah, Coffee, feel free to ask those questions. When I worked at the video game store, sometimes we would have it going in the background, so I'm like vaguely familiar with like a gremlin mode. I'm vaguely familiar with like the scenes a little bit and like the characters a little bit, but I've never sat down and watched it through. How much media you've consumed has no bearing on being your pal. Ah, that's so nice, Jesse. That's comforting because I feel like I'm not too much of a movies person, so I feel like I've missed out on a lot of things, and I have trouble like relating to people when they're talking about movies sometimes. Yeah, now is the season to watch it. It is. We literally watched it last night. It's so fun, but also the ending bit is so intense with the action. That's really exciting, actually. How are the sequels? I remember watching it as a kid, but it's so hazy. I played the NES game a ton, though. Whoa. NES game. Right, there is one, isn't it? I'm really touchy when people flip out when you haven't seen movies. I haven't seen so many. Aw, dude. That's so valid. You're so valid, Jesse. We love this energy. I scared Doug by yelping during one of the scenes because it spooked me. You're so adorable, Salty. I watch a ton of movies, but I'm the same. Oh yeah, Pikmin 2! We've got this delightful Nintendo Sounds of the Season vinyl rip. I like this YouTube channel. They do, like, nice vinyl rips. How would you describe your art style? Honestly, no clue. No clue. Like, it's kind of... It's like a weird blend of like anime and cartoon and fantasy illustration, and it's kind of just like it is what it is. Oh, welcome in, Prithvi. And welcome in, Jack. We are literally actively celebrating Christmas right now, but I live for cheese streaks. Have a great stream. Thank you, Jack. Godspeed on your streaks. But yeah, this is absolutely delightful. Guys, Jesse does... First of all... The Pikmin noises! Thank you, don't mind the haunted baby. I can, like, hear the noise. Hear the Mario Paint... What? The Mario Paint baby noise in my head. It came from the video. Isn't that cute? Jesse's streams are literally so fun. Literally very fun. Literally very fun. Let me shout her out. She's got such like this unapologetically goofy vibe. I have a lot of fun whenever I pop into Jesse's streams. There we go, just like that. Unapologetically goofy vibe. It's just so much fun, and she's, as you can see here, she's an absolute whiz with Mario Paint. This was made in Mario Paint on physical hardware using Super Nintendo mouse. I assume. So, yeah, hit the little heart at top of chat, check out our stream sometime, and give her a big thank you for rating in today. Still using the OG mouse. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for rating. If you got a scram, don't let me hold you up. If you've had a stream that you haven't been eating, you need a nap or something like that, feel free to do so. Or you're free to hang out. I've got a beanbag chair for you, and we've got, let's see. Milkshake for you. Cutely throws follow. Yippee! Oh, the mouse. I've seen that mouse emote before. I didn't realize it was yours. And I didn't realize it was the Super Nintendo one. I'm looking at some food, but I'm so excited to see the dogs. Yes, we're about 40 minutes into stream and we have not put brush to page yet. We're just yapping, catching up, and looking at dog pictures. I wish 2 of these images were at the same angle. Well, I figured the reason I wouldn't let you activate the sale. What was it, Salty? I want to pet them both so bad. They're good puppies. They're very good puppies. Yeah, Hype Train's gone, but it's still not available. Is there a different promo going on right now? Yes, the puppers. Oh, a Twitch-wide bundle thingy. Is it going now? Oh, look, it's my channel. It's me! Oh yeah, it's Twitch-wide. Oh, sweet, so this just this just goes. I should have been using the those promo hours long before now. It's me. Wow, sweet. 30% off, 35% off, gift sub bundles. Yippee! What do you say? It's probably about time to actually start drawing, huh? How does that sound? Why did the music stop so suddenly? I just had to restart, but it sounded so sudden. If two of these pictures were like at the same angle, then I could just like recreate the images as if they were a study. But I'll have to use my imagination a little bit, I guess. So let's get sketching. Let's get sketching. Are you guys enjoying the brine shrimp cam? Little sea monkeys cam? Featuring Bunny. That's this bunny's name, by the way. It's Bunny. Capital B, Bunny. Wish it wasn't so foggy. Froggy. Not foggy. The water is just gonna be foggy. I wish it wasn't blurry. So you could see the shrimpies better. The sweet little shrimpies. We've got like the Generation 2 babies who are they're growing up. They're starting to get kind of big. I think I want to do a little water change sometime soon though. I see some of the females are like developing eggs instead of like doing live birth, which means that there's something a little off about the water quality. But you know, the tank is doing considerably well, so I'm happy. I'm happy. Okay, how do you draw a dog? I've actually been learning to draw dogs better because of one of my D&D characters being like a jackal folk. Like an Anubiskin type character. So I was doing some studies. My dog anatomy is rough. Oh, hi, Rin! Meow! It's nice to see you today. I've become kitty cat. I'm sure even if it's maybe a little messy or sloppy, the gift recipient won't mind. Haha, meow. Meow meow meow, and meow 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 actually. Oh, hydrate, thank you, pretty. Going to bed at 5 a.m. was not a good idea. Oof. Yeah, get yourself a nap at some point today if you can, Anne. Let me use this to erase. There we go. I'm excited for tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm gonna be streaming again. We're gonna play The Grinch for Game Boy Color. It's made by Konami. It's been described as Pac-Man plus Metal Gear Solid. It's made in the same engine, theorized to be made in the same engine by Konami as the Game Boy Color Metal Gear Solid, which is called Metal Gear Ghost Babel. Like Babel. Biblical Babel. So I'm super curious. I was looking at like reviews, and I'm seeing, like, what I'm seeing is kind of all over the place. Cat cheesecake drawing dogs. What I'm seeing about it is kind of all over the place. Like, some people are like, this is really great. It may be one of the, like, best Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance Christmas games out there. That sounds like a combination you wouldn't expect for the Grinch, right? But you know, once you see gameplay, it kind of comes together. Get a little fur right up there, little black fur. She's so stinky cute. I like dogs. I like doggies. Like, I'm more of a cat person, but I sure like doggies. These need to be smaller. Like, I always kind of said... Well,
What are you doing?
Hi, Cygnus! I always have said that I'm much more of a dog person than a cat person, but I'm starting to realize... No. I haven't always said that. I just started saying things. I've always said that I love all animals so much that I'm, like, equal. I'm equally a dog person and a cat person. And, yeah, bring me that animal to pet person. Exactly. I love dogs. But I'm starting to learn, maybe as I get a little older, that I'm definitely more of a cat person. Taking care of a dog is a little... much, I think, for me. And they have a lot of energy, so if I'm overstimulated, it's like, doggy. Take it easy, doggy. Yeah, I do think it's strange to take it that black and white. You make a good point there, Jizzy. I feel like it doesn't look like her. I'm so unused to drawing dogs, but hey, a Christmas gift is a great way to practice, I think. I love dogs, but wow, they're tiring. Yeah, they can be a lot. Also, hi Nikki, Merry Holidays. Taking care of dogs is a lot, but that's why I don't want a puppy. I want an old doggy. Oh, my glasses are on. Thank you, Tantalus. Hi, Tantalus. Old doggies can also be a lot. This sweet girl, she's very old right now. We need to, yes, trust the process. I gotta trust the process. We need to, like, she needs her diaper changed all the time. She needs help going up the stairs at night. We need to physically help her. Old doggies are nice too. They start to get a little mentally out there as well. There are days when I'm cheeky and just don't want to step outside. When I'm tired, yeah. And you gotta like take dogs for walks. The problem with being in the same Twitch chat as your wife is that when you make a typo, you get to hear her say it from her desk across the house. Trust he process. Feeling like having to pick between them is just a society holdover thing from the whole gender binary thing. It feels like you have to pick an animal or that all of that one animal are the same. It's hard to unlearn that without intentionally noticing, I think. You make an incredible point, Salty. And that's also why bunnies are my favorite animal, because there's something about them that feels non-binary. You know, it's like when somebody asks you, are you a cat or a dog person? You say, rabbits actually are my favorite. It's like, yeah, non-binary, exactly. Salty and Snail and Nikki are all shaking hands. And Jezzy also made the joke. The Grink. Are you a cat or a dog person? Orca. Yeah, so real. If we're all making the pun, who's driving the car? Oh yeah, I'm a brine shrimp person. Yeah, everybody thought of it first. Whoa! We have a new Noble of the Winter Core! Let's go, Anne! Let's go! There are 3 things that a Fey Noble achieves for their generous 25,000 point donation. It screams. Anna's like, I'm a noble now. First of all, you get VIP. Yay! Cool gem by your name. I'm now broke at 15 fairy dust. Second of all, I get to go in the Discord and throw you a role in the Discord that grants you access to a secret server. It gets you a special color for your name, and it grants you access to a secret server. Oh, hi, Frog. Or a secret channel in the server to speak amongst the other Fey Nobles. Let's see. Members. And also in this channel is... Well, there we go. Also in this channel, on a monthly basis, I post a super special discount code for a 15% off commissions and merch. Yippee! There we go. You've been added. And the last thing a Fey Noble receives is a cool hat. As you can see, some of the... Oh, where are you? There's Ethereal. Some of our stream avatars have cool glowy hats. That's because they are Fey Nobles. So let's go ahead and add that. Set. Special. Winter Noble Crown. There we go. I don't know where you're at, Anne. Cygnus. Ah, there you are. Everybody, look at this beautiful crown that our Anne is wearing. Yippee! Can I have a buttery Discord roll? Hi, Ethereal. That would be funny, huh? What if I just went into the Discord, made a roll called Buttery Roll. R-O-L-L. Fancy butterfly with a knife. Oh, fish moly. I've been told bunnies are demon spawn as pets, though. They can be, I think. They can be sometimes. But I had bunnies when I was younger. Okay, rolls. Create roll. Buttery roll. R-O-L-L-R-O-L-E. Buttery roll. And I'm gonna make it a buttery yellow color. Oh yeah, that's buttery. And it does nothing, and Ethereal has it. There you go. It is done. Antics, eh? The most recent BFDI episode, Rocky spoke after 2 years of silence? Did he ever speak? Like, did he speak and then he was silent for 2 years? Or did he just never speak? Wow. I'm for a salty roll, just massive chunks of salt. When the buttery roll is inside another buttery roll is what you call a buttery roll. Oh, it sure is. Yummy. Truly yummy. There's a cake on my screen. It's nice to have you here, Frog. Dude, Frog has been like drawing me a bunch of fan art now and then. Let's see. Yeah. Frog drew my character Emery. Ah! Look at this! Frog is so good. Frog is so crazy. And also a cute clover in a stocking. 2 years ago he spoke 2 words, and before that he didn't speak for 10 years. According to a character, he forgot how to talk, but he clearly didn't. Mayhaps he speaks when he decides to. Oh yeah, Frog is lovely. Long time friend of the stream. Super cool with the animation too. Made a cool pilot for pilot animation that's like, it's fantastic. I love it. Okay. How do you draw a freaking dog? I don't draw a lot of like realistic animals. Like I could go like draw like a cute chibi version. I'm gonna share the clip of Rocky speaking. Go ahead and throw it in the Discord server and I'll have a look afterwards. I'll have a look after stream. I feared for a moment that I was drawing on the wrong layer. I need to make sure that layer's locked so I don't draw on it. Step 1, own a dog. Step 2, use it as a ref. Step 3, draw. That's a good way to do it. And that's kind of... She's not my dog. She lives in my house. Her cute mouth. Yeah, 2/3. 2 thumbs going like that. Kinda. Oink, 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 oink. Oh, there's 6 actually. Oink, 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 oink. Whoa. Oink, 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 oink. And tongue. Yeah, chat's kind of roaring today. Sorry if I missed stuff. Can Tomo be considered a dog? No, but I'm good at drawing Tomo. What? Hi, Tomato. Welcome in. What? Tio's here. Oh, hi, Tio. That dang little fairy giggle. You're too sweet. Thank you for following 18 Blank. It looks so odd. Trust the process. Jazzy was right. Trust the process. Oh, doggy. Friggin' doggies. Oh, it's getting strange. I'm gonna undo all that. I don't trust the process, Chad. I don't trust it. Was there a video of a bird flying on a cabinet and throwing down a bag of treats for the dog? I feel like I have seen something like that. That's so silly. Hi Reed! Welcome in! I just finished a dog painting commission today, or yesterday. They're so much fun. Wow! I don't have a lot of practice drawing dogs. Honestly, drawing real animals, including humans, is something that I kind of struggle with. So that's why I've never done like pet portraits or anything like that, because like I kind of struggle to draw. Like I kind of struggle with like real life likeness. There we go. We get a little Tomo. Beak is too big. These little birdie nostrils. And he is, of course, a cockatiel griffin. Oh, I messed up the wing, but that's fine. It's just a doodle. I pulled a muscle in your thigh. Oh no! I hope you're alright, Nikki. Oh, what's my favorite anime? Probably Puella Magi Madoka Magica. I like it, I like it. Did Tomo polymorph into a bunny? No, he's always been a griffin. But since cameras don't work in the fairy world, he has to look like a normal cockatiel in the real world. Madoka Magica, yeah! I love it. Homura is one of my favorite anime characters ever, and also Sayaka. But mostly Homura. I don't like what I'm making. I'm gonna try again. I gotta go from the heart. Go from the heart, not the eye. You know, I'm relying too much on the eye. Full Metal Booty Brotherhood. Yeah, Full Metal Alchemist is fantastic. I like that one a lot. I watched it all the way through a while ago. I gotta see. Oh, you got to see Rebellion Story in theaters? One of my favorite memories. The entire theater gasped during that one scene he included. Ugh, Rebellion is so good. I've heard people say that Rebellion isn't good and it's stupid and it doesn't matter, but it's literally so good. It's literally so good. Don't talk about that dog. Yeah. We love a little funny chimera. A little funny chimera antics. That was this one. Mail truck just pulled up. It's the classic scene. It's the classic scene of a dog and a mail carrier. You sent it? Yay! I'll check it out after stream, man. Thank you! Someone literally shouted, "We were rooting for you!" Yeah, that's fantastic. I really gotta watch through all of that again sometime. I've been thinking actually about doing a watch party of Madoka Magica in my server. Sometime, at some point. I know you said mail truck, but processed it as mail truck, which reminded me of two trucks. You have a reference image of your Sona? I sure do. You're in my Discord server, right? Oh yeah, Salty, grab the watch partiers role in my Discord server. Yeah, I'll just forward this to you. Oh, there we go. Yay! I'm off my ADHD meds right now. If I open Discord, it's Jover for me today. That's valid, that's valid. I can try to remind you later. Or I'll just let you know personally when we're doing Madoka Magica. Hi, Boxty! I hope you're having a lovely day so far. Jujutsu Kaisen, Hunter x Hunter, and Spy Family! I love Spy Family. I love Spy Family so much. I tried Jujutsu Kaisen, but it started off so much more like... It started off more like a seinen than a shonen. Honestly. I'm not a big fan of shonen. I'm like, oh, we got this cool, like, you know, supernatural stuff going on, and then it just turned into fighting anime. A lot of people tell me I look like Anya. Yeah, I can see it. Maybe on next Halloween you can do a Anya cosplay with your VTuber. How are you both? You know? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm in a nice mood. Yeah, Ayu kind of has the pink haircut. The pink Anya hair. Anya's cute. Oh, this is like horror version. She's just a jellyfish. Don't worry about it. That pig is me on Dayquil. Spy Family's really good with all the blood and stuff I see. Yeah, it's a palate cleanser for me. Yeah, it's like really exciting without being too serious, you know? It's really cute that way. Little robot, hi! You didn't do your cheesecake. I noticed. But it's nice to see you. Okay. Be gone. We're drawing dog. We're drawing dog. I'm gonna start with bow. And I'm gonna draw from the heart instead of from the eye. Well, I guess that's the dog's name. We're drawing the white dog. Good thing I got that electric bat with me. Time to kill this mosquito. Whoa. Godspeed, Prithvi. I hate mosquitoes. That's kind of looking like a dog. We can hide all the important stuff under all that fluff. Can't pet that dog! Can't pet that dog! We've got an ad starting shortly. Thank you guys for sticking around through the ad. I'll see you on the other side. Pet the brine shrimps. Oh, can you pet the dog? Can't pet that dog! Can't pet that dog! Petting the bunny, yeah! Hi, Domo. He's come up to say hi. What are you looking at? Look at the camera. Look at the viewer. Dude, so on Sunday, I was like, you know, I'm out and about grocery shopping, but I have a little free time. I'll check it out after streams, and okay? Okay. I was out and about already. I was like, you know what? Let me go visit the toy store. Jacked, but at what cost? That's so silly, little robot. Oh, you've given the mosquito a warning? Oh yeah, so I drove over to the toy store. I don't really want to look on stream, sorry, Anne. Little bird? What's up, little bird? Yeah, I don't typically like looking at videos on stream, you know what I mean? I feel like it messes with the flow, you know? It messes with my flow. Hi Haruki, good morning! Little bird, you know what else is messing with my flow? Little stinking bird. Let's give you some millet. I think I've learned... Is it millet? I think I've learned that I should stick to millet for bribes. For bribes on stream. For Tomo bribes, because I think the other seed blend that I've been giving him is, gives him too much energy. And he likes the millet. He does like it. Need some more? There we go. Could I? Let you guys see. Tomo bird eaten. What? What is with the lighting? Oh right, I messed with the exposure. I messed with the exposure for the brain shrimpy tank. So it looks really dark. Let's see. I feel like I was in the middle of talking about something. Hi, Techno, welcome in! Configure video. Auto exposure. Much better. Oh yeah, my day is going well. My day is going well. The eyes are too big. Oh! I went to go to the toy store. And it wasn't there! The sign was taken down. I was like... And like, you know, the establishment was empty. I was like, no! The camera and the music, yeah, it was a little ominous. I was like, oh no! My favorite vintage toy store has closed. My #1 go-to spot for Transformers has closed. So I googled it. It was like, yada yada toys closed. And they just like moved one street over. So I was like, sweet! And I visited, and the new place is like so much bigger and better. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm super excited. I was like, man, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. I bought a little guy. Where is he? He was secretly on camera the whole time. He was behind Tomo's cage. Yeah, I'm so glad it's not closed for good. Okay. Perceive. It's Wheelie! It's Wheelie! Wow! Ooh. I'm so glad. This little guy was on my wish list. He is smaller than I expected, and I am so happy. You getting the new one? Probably not. There's a new Wheelie coming out? Oh, I'm so happy with this one. I don't think I need a new one. What do you think, Tomo? He's like, get that away from me. Mini bot sized? The new one's mini bot sized? The mold's coming out in the Walmart exclusive line in toy colors. Ooh, you'll have to send me that, Techno. Send me a picture. So it look really squishy, Starscream. Yeah! Oh yeah, we counted to 5,000 in the Discord server. We finally reached 5,000. I forgot to update it today, but that's okay. I'll do it sometime after. Can you please give 5,000 consecutive chirps from the hours of 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. to celebrate? Thank you. No. I mean, 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. that's not streaming time, so I don't mind as much. His little head popping out is so cute. Yeah, popping back up in between chirps. Sweet. Thank you, Techno. I'll absolutely have a look at that. There we go. This is kind of looking like that dog. Yeah, doggy, doggy, doggy. I've seen Detective Conan. I know of Detective Conan. I've never watched any though. I see when you saw this leaked Prime smokescreen. I did. He looks great. Although I've seen people complaining that he's mistransformed. Mistransformed in the promo. Whatever promo display they had him at. Look at Jeremy go! Yeah, look at him go! Fluffy guy. Let me Google dog sitting. Wait, that's gonna be like dog sitting services in your area. I'm glad I didn't have the browser pulled up. Dog sitting image reference. Yeah, this one on the right should do. I just need like the general pose. Like what directions the legs should go. Although I do think the paws are cute. Here we go. That's funny little paws. Oh, I think I should probably head to bed. It's 2:54 a.m. Night night, Frisbee. Thank you for stopping in. It was lovely to hang out with you. I'm reminded in a good way of Arms Micron Smokescreen, the knockout repaint. I haven't seen that either. Arms Micron Smokescreen. When I was at the toy store, and they have a Dark Energon knockout in box, and I was like, whoa, but it was way out of my budget. It was way out of my budget, so I didn't get it. Okay. There we go. This is how dogs are shaped. This reminds me of the time I drew my D&D character's dog. Oh no, I'm not doing one line continuous art. I was just kind of like using this for pose reference. It looks right to me. I'm done with actually sorting the binder. Now time to just look at it for a while. Finally got around to putting the last 2 cards I needed in there to complete the decks. So full Unova decks completed. Woohoo! That's so exciting, Snail. I just have to wait for more Genesect cards with the different drives, so it can actually be possible to complete a binder with every form of every Unova Pokemon. Whoa! What other forms do Unova Pokemon have? Well, have a good day, Harukingu. I'll see you again next year. Haha, see you next year. I hope the rest of the stream is great. Thank you, Haruki. Have a beautiful day. May your day be blessed with fairy magic. Okay. Really fluff him out. I'm gonna change the angle of his face, so I'm going to erase all of this beautiful work that I've done. Oh yeah, normal Zen mode Galarian and Zen mode Galarian Darmanitan. Ah, yeah, 4 different forms. Zoro and Yamask, yeah. They have a booty, I guess. Yamask doesn't have a booty. It's not true. Buzzbot's lying. Can you guys imagine Buzzbot would lie on the internet? I don't believe it. not trying to anime-fy the dog. However, I seem to be accidentally doing it somehow anyway. My favorite thing about drawing dog noses is that they kind of look like mushrooms. Oh yeah, and Megas. Just Mega Audino before ZA, yeah! He's white, but he looks like he's got, like, black eyeliner. He's got, like, black eyeliner and white eyelashes. Really cute. He's probably for a death metal concert for real. I don't want to make him look tired. Melovetta Curum, right, dealing in Sawsbuck, new ZA Megas, not spoiling any, and Galerian Stuntfisk. Oh, you're right. I'm gonna change one of these eyes. This one. Paradoxes, which are distinct Pokemon, but I'm including them in the binder whenever I do. And yeah, they're distinct Pokemon, but they're technically distinct Pokemon, but realistically they're forms, right? Like, functionally. Eyes are a little scary. Do you guys think so? Do you think the eyes are a little scary? I'm so not used to drawing animals. His head is so big. Oh, you think they're endearing? I also want to do shinies, but they're not going to do a shiny for every Pokemon, and I don't hate my wallet. You're right. You're so right. There's a surprising number of shining. Oh no, I'm starting to forget the names of the sets now. Oh hi W, welcome in. Wait, it says first time chat, but you've been here before. Or I know you from somewhere. Do I know you from Chi-Chi's channel? Oh, hey, thank you for following. Yeah, I like Chi-Chi a lot. I like Chi-Chi a whole lot. I'm the monkey song person? I don't know what that means. I was gonna look something up, but I forgot. That's okay. Why doesn't it look like a dog? Gay frog alert. OMG! Look at the Unova Dex. There's a surprising amount of Pokemon with different forms, huh? Yeah, I guess I really don't think of them that much. It's like a fluffy bear. I mean, he kind of just looks like a fluffy bear. Well, you didn't show me the reference image? I mean, hey. I love fluffy bear dogs. Fluff goes more... goes off the edge more. Whoa. Do I have to decide how realistic I want it to be? I think I do. Because I feel like I'm trying to go for realistic, but not. Well, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. Have fun, W. Of course, she doesn't have to, but I always like when she does. He's such a fluffy guy. He's so incredibly fluffy. And do I want to paint this? Like, because I was kind of going into it thinking that I'd want to end up painting it. The music is making me sleepy. Oh, that is nice. That one was Pikmin. It was from Pikmin, right? Distant Tundra working from Pikmin 3, I think. It doesn't have timestamps. Just a track list. You're a sweet one, Mixed Cheese. Thank you, Beanie. Do you want me to include the typo? Hi, Beanie. Pikmin, hardly knowing. How's it going, Bean Bean Bean? Let me see his tail. Oh, none of my reference images have his tail. That's okay. Gonna run some errands in a bit. Okay, okay. Good luck with your errands. Have you finished with your errands? Come on, bird. What's up? What's up, little bird? Are you getting bored again? You wanna come here? Do you want kisses, little bird? Come on, bird. That's a good boy. What a sweet birdie. What a sweet little birdie, guys. You have a song for us? Anything? You gonna sing for us? She knows. Is that pin feathers growing in? Is that why you've been cranky lately? You've got pin feathers? Just little ones? Woof woof, bark, bark, bark. Hi, sound. Seeds treat for Tomo. We did just give him seeds treat. It feels kind of heavy. A little heavier than usual. Have I been giving you too much seeds treat? I gotta rent a carpet cleaner? For what? More seeds? Oh boy. You guys spoil him. You spoil him. Okay, more seeds treat. Just give him... just like the end of a millet. There. Right? You don't want to eat it there? A little further. There we go. Turn Tomo into Tankmo. Oh, the carpet in our living room hasn't been cleaned in over a decade. Fat. I haven't checked his weight in a little bit. Here, can I like fasten this in some sort of way? Over here, outside, Tomo. Come on. Right there. He's a cutie patootie. Oh yeah, he's doing little scoots. Cute little scoots. Clumsy bird. What if I do this? Pull out the little end here. There we go. He's like, there's already seeds in here. I'm gonna eat these ones. I carpet scrubbed in my old apartment once a year, usually once it was warm enough to leave the windows open over night. Yeah, that's an important part of it, I think. Being able to air out the place. They're on the outside, Tomo. Come on. It's on the outside. There you go. Does he look like an extra big boy to you guys? Alright, it's gonna be here soon, but I'll be back after a bit. Okay, Beanie, welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you for stopping in. You know what? After taking a little break and looking back at this, I think it's not so bad. It's not so bad, actually. There's something I've sort of realized about the... Maybe... How do I put it? My family and my fella's family are pretty different. It always catches me off guard whenever somebody asks, what do you want for Christmas? And it's like, wait, I want to know what you think I want for Christmas, and I want it to be a surprise. You know? Like, if you don't know me well enough, just give me a gift card, and it's okay. But I really... Like, I'm learning that I really like... I really prefer when... somebody... When somebody gives a gift that lets me know that they're thinking of me. You know? Like, I see you, I understand you. I think you would like this. You know what I mean? Gifts that have sentimental value? Yeah. And honestly, like, if it's something that, if I'm given something that, you know, maybe I wouldn't have cared to own before being gifted it, it's made more special. It's made more special knowing that they thought I would like it, you know? Like, this is what this person thinks of me. My dad and I decided not to get gifts for each other. Seeing each other is enough. That's so sweet, Ethereal. Yeah, my family... I won't complain about money if you don't know what to get me. I will not use it wisely. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is Christmas gift money. We can get a little irresponsible with it. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, open the doggy mouth a little. There we go. Yeah. My family and I I'm like, the full-time streamer thing is like kind of only covering my basic expenses right now. I don't know what I can do for gifts this year. And my mom's like, yeah, we're kind of just covering rent. And my sister's like, yeah, I'm in between jobs right now. And so we're all kind of like sort of agreeing that we shouldn't be stressing out about giving each other gifts this year. If we do, then we do, and if we don't, then you know it's okay because we're still enjoying each other's company, right? So that's the kind of spot that we're in as far as gifts go with my family, and it's okay, you know. Next year I'll just have to get them something delightful. My presence is my present, and also day drinking. Oh yeah, we're gonna be doing some of that too, I'm sure. Let's see. How does doggy arm fluff work? You got really fluffy feet. We're ruining the economy! Woohoo! Yeah, it's rough this year. I need to try remembering where I put things. Where did that Zekrom card go? Which Zekrom card? There's some Zekrom cards you don't want to lose. For sure. Oh, this has to go somewhere really safe. Then I forgot where I put it. Oh boy. Should I paint this? I think it might be fun to paint, or at least try. Do I have time, honestly? I also have another Christmas art to get done. The special illustration rare one I just got. Especially a bad one to lose. It sells for like 200. It wouldn't sell unless there was an emergency, but you know, not knowing where it is not good. Right. That's like a big one in the collection. Let me check real quick where my biggest cards are at. My TCG player, there you are. I feel like I have two cards that I consider my biggest cards, and one I only kind of like realized recently. First, Giratina V-Star. This one. It's at 185 right now. Ooh. You know, I bet you, what is this? October? I bet you 3 or 4 months ago, $225 could have helped me. But that's fine. But hey, 184, that's still not bad. It's still like sort of on the way up. Sort of on the way up. Oh, they've got like a volatility meter. That's nifty. The other one, Sylveon EX. Whoa. Okay, it's gone down. It's gone down from where it was. Is the market finally settling a little? Whoa. Yeah, I have this set just about complete, if not fully complete. Generations Radiant Collection. The Flareon EX and the Pikachu Full Art, those were gifts. I'm super happy about that. 51 for this card. I remember this card being like $2 a little while ago. This set kind of went crazy with Prismatic Evolutions. Oh, you found it. Okay, good. I saw something last month during the SNAP crisis that said, let's see, the average American earner pays about $36 a year in taxes to food stamps and about $670 a year to corporate subsidies. And something like 60% of Walmart's employees are on food stamps, but Walmart makes money boat over fist. Yeah, that's the state of things right now. That's how it is. But you know, we just work with what we've got, right? We just work with what we've got. Paldean Fate's Mew is like 1,000? Wait. Okay. I was like, what the heck? But still, this is crazy. Wait, lightly played. Okay, still like 500 is still pretty crazy. Oof. I mean, yeah, Sound Ninja, that's where we're at right now. But yeah, we work with what we've got, you know? And I'm very, very grateful for the people who, like, I try not to be political here, of course. It's a place of escapism, but we gotta acknowledge it sometimes. It's rough. It's going rough. But there's lots of people who are fighting to change things. And, you know, that's when I count my blessings, those people are among them. You know. You didn't finish your millet, Tomo. He's heavy though. He's kind of hefty sitting on my shoulder. Right, little bird? You heavy little bird? But yeah, I'm always, you know, it's bad right now, but there are people who will keep things from getting too bad. Changelings isn't a bad way to put it. No, people who want to change things. I know it's not the most fair to make that generalization. No, you're kind of right. You're right, Sound. You're absolutely right. I said changelings as a fair folk reference. Nah, they're fine. They're fine. Relative to those people, they're not even a harm to humans right now. The idea that they replaced human babies and as such are inhuman monsters tracks for the decision makers? Nah, changelings don't even want, like, anything. So they don't want to be in the spotlight. You know? That's what humans are dealing with right now is other humans. Not that fairies have never had a bad role in human history, but yeah. Humans are messed up sometimes. This song is so... like, it's just one of those really nice wintry Nintendo songs. Drawing fur is fun sometimes, actually. Buzzbot! Buzzbot, I'm gonna delete that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Without going too much further into it, depending on how things play out with... Yeah. Let's not worry about that right now. I've had enough stressing out about it for a weekend. You screenshotted it? I promise me and Buzzbot aren't like that. I promise. What's your Christmas cocktail of choice? I love Nog. One time, I tried, like, rum eggnog, and I was like, bleh, bleh, bleh. Way to take the absolute delicious decadence of eggnog and just, like, ruin it with the taste of alcohol. Like, come on! Someone made eggnog for a Christmas potluck at work and brought a bit of rum for it. It was icky! It was so icky! Give me normal eggnog, it's literally perfect as it is. I don't know if I have, like, necessarily a favorite Christmas cocktail. I don't drink too much. And when I do, it's wine because my fiance's a vintner. But I think when I'm celebrating with my family, we usually have mimosas, no matter what's going on. So I think Christmas cocktail and mimosas come to mind. Do you like rum in it, but spiced or gold, not white? Rum chata is good too, as well as stuff like caramel vodka. Oh, you don't drink too much? Oh, you must get dehydrated. Oh, aged brandy eggnog. Maybe it was just like the one I tried that sucked. I'll take suggestions, at least. I can't promise I'll drink them. Oh, Mr. Gene, it's been a while! Let's, send a big, what was the emote even called? Chezkaka. We send a big Chezkaka in honor of Mr. Gene. Welcome in! Sorry I haven't made it to, like, any streams. I've been so busy, but hello, how is everyone? You know? We're having a decent time. We're chilling. Winter is wearing down on us. Politics is wearing down on us. But we're doing what we can. And hanging out on stream is a really nice way to just chill out. I'm gonna delete that message. Cheskaka upsets me. Crystal Cheesecake Person Fairy Drawer, yay! It still doesn't delete it for me. Guys, spam chat, please. I know a great way to spam chat. I love Cheskaka. I also love Cheskaka, but I have a complicated relationship with that little creature. Let's get some basketball going. You guys can play basketball so that we can destroy Cheskaka from the chat. A red-shouldered hawk comes down and swoops, picks up Cheskaka and flies away with it. Wow, look at that little dance. That's cute. Wow, this person's live. Alive right now. It's Laserbeak! Laserbeak. Laserbeak. Kill that Cheskaka. Oh wait! They raided us! I remember. What a great model. Yeah, they raided us at some point. So beautiful. So beautiful model. They, them, pretending this is the pronoun check I redeemed during a raid a while ago that I don't think anyone noticed. A live breathing person! I mean, it's a VTuber, so maybe. But yeah, pronoun check from forever ago. If you guys want to send your pronouns in chat, feel free to do so we understand how to refer to each other. Or you can go to that website and add your pronouns to the website. Oh, she's the one who drew and animated the pirouette! Oh! Very good, very good. Sound Ninja's gonna be making some cranberry martinis. I forget the exact name of it, but some kind of meringue froth drink that's usually made with Grand Marnier. But this year we're using chocolate or blackberry crown. Whoa, I don't know. I don't know what any of that is except for meringue. But you'll have to send pictures, Sound. That sounds scrumptious. Cheskaka is gone. 8 them at AM. Me too. Even if Immersion Break, I'm an overweight guy. Okay, but you're also a cute fish girl. So both can be true. I don't believe it. As a real actual fairy doll, I don't even believe it. How are we feeling about this, chat? Do I have to noodle on it more? I don't like the tail, actually. It's cute, but it's like... It makes it look like there's like an edge here and the tail is going off the edge. Cute dog, yay pupster, yay! Real dog too. Real dog. Real puppy. Oh, Grand Marnier is an orange liquor. Oh. I didn't care for it, so I went back to the underworld. Oh yes, of course. This means there's more of me to hug. Yeah. Oh, I remember being alive once. I didn't care for it, so I went back to the underworld. I suppose hugging the tiny little 5-inch IUU would be a little difficult. Don't question me. Wow. You guys enjoying the basketball? So it's good that you have a big form that's more huggable. I wonder what Chibi Cheesecake would look like. I think there's examples of that somewhere. Let me look through the fan art folder real quick. I certainly have like a gremlin mode. Wait, I have to show you guys something. It's in my Discord server, but like, I need to show you guys this. NTN made something for me. Let's see. Media player. Is it picking up the audio? Even if it doesn't, it's fine. Just imagine helicopter noises. Just imagine helicopter noises. Look, look, look. NTN made this. It's my profile picture on Discord now. But that hat, it's let me show you guys. Take off the Santa hat real quick. Check this out, check this out. It's this hat. Whenever I smile. Oh, it's not working. Well, the propeller should go whenever I smile, but it's broken right now. But... Yay! It's so exciting. I'm so jazzed about it. Why so small? Because little. Why so booty? It's not. You guys hear the helicopter noises? Yeah, why so booty? I'm not. It's not, I swear. You don't? Oh, well, just imagine helicopter noises. Or go to my Discord server and look in the fan art reel, and you'll find it there. But yes, Chibi Cheesecake certainly exists. It certainly exists. We're 2 hours into stream. Don't question me! Oh, my fishbowl has WinRAR, so I can compress people to be small enough to hug. That's incredible. That's incredible. Let's have a hydrate and a stretch. Thank you, Cygnus. Helicopter noises. Wow! Should we take a little break? Have us a little break? There is an ad coming soon. I can snooze that out and we can run that during our little BRB. We did draw a dog. Oh, I have to redraw the tail when we get back, but we did draw a dog. We completely drew a dog. I don't know, I still don't know how I feel about the face, but I'm sure it's fine. We can noodle on it more when we get back. Quick BRB! Get a load of that dog. You guys want more basketball? Have you guys seen that, like, fishing game? That is a very dog face, you think so? Have you guys seen that fishing game? Not real fish, real. It's like a little, not lurk bait. It's a different one. Fish reel. I sent it in Streamer Hangout a little while ago. Fish phone. Have you guys seen this? How is it? We love a fishing minigame. Fish reel? I don't think so. Shh, don't say that in front of Ayu. I couldn't figure it out. Oh no! An average rusty sword. You can fish with your chat to complete the catalog, quests, and buy items to help you along the way. Just place the idle game in this corner of stream and let chat fish away. That's it, I'm bored. I'm gonna make realistic cheesecake. Oh boy, that sounds exciting. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's on sale. It's $11.30. I don't know, I just haven't like gone for it yet. Hi bored, I'm Ayu. Oh. Enjoy your work in Larknest Cat. Thank you for hanging out. Cheese doesn't have a body, just a head and limbs and a sweater. It's true. It's true, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Whoa. No, nobody's home. I set myself up right again. There we go. Nobody's home. Yeah, the sweater is the body. Okay, we're gonna have our BRB. I have a 10-minute timer going. Swoop! Right there. And we'll be back after 10 minutes. I'm gonna run a 3-minute ad while we're gone, so that we can have a full hour of ad-free cheese content. You can get up and stretch, you can think about life, you can look at my panels, you can play basketball. I'll see you guys soon. Swoop! Hello. Oh, Tomo says hello too. Welcome back, everybody. Swoop. We're back. We've returned. And the brown shrimps are back too. Let me put my art glove back on. Get the iPad stream going again. Very good, very good. Very good. Right, Tomo? Right, little bird? Is that right, Tomo? Yes? It seems like you guys enjoyed the basketball. Very good. Hi, Tomo. Hi. He's on my shoulder now. Little bird on my shoulder. He says, the cheesy is chirping. Time for the Tomo to be chirping. Mimi is chirping. Welcome back. Thank you, IUU. Welcome back to you guys, too. Let's see. Where should I put this doggy's tail? Don't question me. What? Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's put IUU with all the other silly doodles. So many silly doodles today. Let's merge these all down. Oh yeah, usually in the... I haven't been doing it as much lately. Little baby man. Little baby.
Little baby.
Baby fish. Usually with the little bird. Usually with the, what do you call it? The Fae Court chat. The Fae Court chat, I'll, post the, like, silly doodles of this sort, in there. I haven't been doing it much lately, but that's another perk to being a Fae Noble and having access to that chat. You get to see silly doodles, other little stuff. What? Hulk Hogan the furry. Thank you for following, friend. Welcome in. Feel free to introduce yourself. No association with actual... Wait. That can't be actual Hulk Hogan. Cause he, hi streamer. Hello viewer. He's not, attending the real world anymore. How do I do this freaking tail? The ghost of Hogan. No way, it's the guy from the Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny. I don't know what that is. What is that? That sounds like a Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny. Classic internet meme song. It almost sounds like something that, Lemon Demon. Like, it almost sounds like a Lemon Demon song. You know who I realized is live? It's Salty. The salty is fun. I like salty. Old Godzilla song. Wow. I just looked at the emote that you sent. Oh, that's so cute. A little kiss from a worm. It's about every pop culture icon having a death battle, but it's a song. And Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White and Monty Python and the Holy Grail's Black Knight. Oh, the flesh wound guy. Do you think this tail looks good? I feel like it needs to start a little higher. I like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I need to see it again. I need to watch it again sometime because I haven't seen it since I was a kid. And when I was a kid, my my mom always like fast forwarded past, there's like a brothel scene or something. And I only learned about it a little while ago. I only learned that it existed a little while ago, so I'm like, wait, I haven't seen this movie in its entirety. You mean you don't watch it like 2 to 3 times a year? That's The Princess Bride. That's The Princess Bride for me. So does that sound like a, what do you call it? Monty Python and the Holy Grail watch party in my Discord server? Is that what that sounds like? I haven't seen it at all, actually. Whoa. I watch that several times a year, too. It's so good. Princess Bride. It's one of my favorite movies. It was a Lemon Demon song? I was right. With the flash animation from Newgrounds. Wait, how long has Lemon Demon been doing stuff? I mean, I know Neil Cicierega was Potter Puppet Pals guy. It was the most popular one for a really good while. That sounds about right. Something like that sounds like it would pop off on Newgrounds back in the day. I should absolutely do that. Let me take a note of that. I've been wanting to do watch parties, but just like, it's so busy, so schedule, you know what I mean? 2003! That's crazy. That's like before YouTube. Content ideas. Watch party content. Sweet, thank you, Sound. Oh, Monty Python. Monty Python. It's like almost 2026, right? Ugh. What a, what a surprise. You know? Like, I don't know. It's probably a combination of me sort of like becoming an adult starting around 2020, and also the pandemic hitting also around 2020, that sort of has made everything just zip by, absolutely zip by. And the Holy Grail. There we go. I have a list of watch party content. We already did Kirby Right Back at Ya, so I can cut that out. What else do I want to put? Madoka Magica. Yay! Yeah, wouldn't it be nifty if, like, every Friday night or something... I don't have anything going on Friday nights. Every Friday night or something, we do a watch party. Wouldn't that be nifty? Don't take that as a real plan. Tentatively. Tentatively. Aw, I just looked back down at my art and I think it's cute, actually. Sweet puppy. Do I need to do any, like, detailing around his neck? Hmm. Do you think I've captured the likeness? Does this look like that dog? Cap at that dog. Cap at that dog. Cap at that dog. Part of my like paint along Mondays has been trying to capture likeness. But it's a lot easier with objects than it is with pets or people. Cause let me turn on a light in here, then I'm gonna talk about that more. And let me calm down the bird. One sec. I'm back. Whoa, timer. Yeah, this isn't timed. Likeness, the funny thing about likeness is like, so there was a Vsauce video that I watched probably like, well, hydrate, thank you, Isaac, hi! Hi, Isaac, I'm back! There was a Vsauce video that I probably watched like over a decade ago or whatever. That he was talking about how like people see human faces in like much like they it's about like pareidolia, which is like seeing human faces in other things, and like oh no, the title of the video, pareidolia is involved. The title of the video is "Why Don't We Taxidermize Humans?" Is because the details of the human face are very, very important in the human mind. Little bird! The details of a human face are very, very important in a human mind. And taxidermy is not a perfect art. So... Did I just get coconut mauled? What is this? Oh, GameCube Sherbert Land. Okay, never mind. Hi, Hair. It's nice to see you today. Sherbert Land. There's something that felt coconut mall about it. Yeah. So I'm sure that applies to like art too. Don't look at me, I didn't do anything. You're good. because, yeah, it's still Mario Kart, because human faces are so, like, important to get just right, they're kind of hard to draw, like, with realism. Like, that's why realism gets so much harder when it gets to, like, human faces, because of how important it is to look aesthetically... Stop flashing. To look aesthetically good and accurate and correct. Realism with human faces is... So, like, it's really extra tricky for me, and it's one of the reasons why, like, in my commission terms, I'm like, I don't draw people. I don't draw people. Because even though I could, like, I don't draw real human people, unless a stylized reference is provided, because I feel like even if I, like, cartoonify them, I'm not doing justice to the way that the person's actual face looks. And if I try to do justice to the way the person's actual face looks, then it's gonna look uncanny. You know? Like, it's that combined with the fact that how do I put this? Drawing the real features of a person's face. I might draw a part of somebody's face that they feel, like, self-conscious about in a certain way, and I don't want that risk. You know what I mean? Uncanny. Just put it in a new can. Easy. You're so right. You're so wise, Sound. Sound Ninja the Wise. That's what you would be if you were a wizard. I sent the realistic cheesecake in the server in art sharing. Okay, let's see. Ugh. Huh. I don't know if I want to share this. I guess I will. This is truly uncanny. It's a little odd. Like, it's not triggering any of my, like, weird staring discomfort. But, a heads up. A heads up, at least. The eyes are normal enough. Jean, why do you do this? Why do you do this, Mr. Jean? What? I appreciate it. It is, however, unsettling. They taxidermied you? No, my real human body is still untaxidermied. Look how long my nails are. My real human body is still untaxidermied, thankfully. And my fae body is still a doll. Wait, am I pre-taxidermied because I'm a doll? Guys, it's beautiful, trust me, just pretend it looks better. Real. Me when I make art. It doesn't help that most humans are usually just slightly asymmetrical, and that causes all kinds of problems for artists because we're built to find patterns and gravitate towards symmetrical shapes. Right, so, like, I don't want to draw someone and be like, well, it doesn't look like that person, but if I tried to make it look more like that person, it would look less aesthetically pleasing. And I don't want to, like, accidentally insult somebody. Cause, like, something that you realize when you do enough studies is that human beings can be kind of ugly. Realism can be kind of ugly. But, like, in a way that, well, I don't think human beings are ugly. I think human beings are beautiful. And sheeps. Hi, Raiders! Hello! Ah, so festive, so festive! Snowflakes drift by. A wee wave pops in, spreading the holiday cheer. Welcome in Chubba05. Welcome in Madam Ace. Hello, my lady. Hello, Chi-Chi. Welcome in, Chi-Chi. Cygnus coming in with the raid too. There's my favorite bug. What? I'm a bug? Hi, Break By. Hello. Welcome in, everybody. It's me. I'm real human beings. That's true. Wow, 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 wow. Hi! How was your stream? I definitely had you open the whole time. We were snooping on each other, weren't we? What were you working on today? You were working on like a mascot, right? Do you want to share? Is it art share time? Art text time? Ooh, if we did want to do an art share tonight. We'll skip the art share today. We'll skip the art share today, just because I want to get as much progress done on this as I can, but I'll gladly look at Chi-Chi's art text. Do you already have a permit? There you go. You can send it whatever. It's gremlin time. Yes, I'm gremlin mode now. Hi, Raiders. You may already know me. Me and Chi-Chi, we're friends. But if you don't know me, hi. I'm Cheesecake. Cheesecake. Oh, I blew it. Well, let me just send the Discord link. If it didn't get whispered to you, then you can just click it there. I'm Cheesecake. You can call me Cheese. I don't know you. Please tell me more about you. Of course. I think you meant siblings? Yeah, we've got a siblings thing going on. Art tax, yay! I use they, them pronouns. They, them, or am, air. Yes, we are siblings.
Sup?
Sup?
What you doing?
Hi.
Where you at?
We're chiblings. We're the chiblings. I like to do drawing. We like character art. We like a little painting. We like a little pixel art. We do paint along Mondays. I also like to do indie games and retro games and Nintendo games. Sometimes we do other little variety things. Honestly, it's been a long time since I pulled out the desk cam. But that's okay. We'll do that soon. We'll do that sometime soon. Oh yeah, pronoun check too. Everybody send your pronouns in chat. We can get to know each other a little better. Pronouns. Yeah. That about wraps it up, right? I love Chi-Chi's channel. I love Chi-Chi so much. We love Chi-Chi. If you like a scatterbrain streamer, then you found another one. If you've already been here and you like a scatterbrain streamer, go check out Chi-Chi. I just wanted my cheese. Let me shout out Chi-Chi. Guys, I love Chi-Chi. I love Chi-Chi. I love Chi-Chi. Look at what she made. Is this a work in progress or is it done? It's absolutely beautiful. The cheese grommet. Blemsley-Dale. I don't know anything about Wallace and Gromit. Look at how good this is! Look at those beautiful gradients! I see, the line art. The line art is all colored. It wasn't before. Wow, 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 wow. Ah! It's looking so good! He, him, guy adjacent. Do not call me a man, dude, guy, or boy, though. Okay! Guy adjacent. I like that. Look it! I absolutely love how this is turning out. Is this like a... Oh, the model. Right, it's a model. Oh, right, you're rigging it. I started to rig it a little, but realized some lines are missing that you couldn't notice until it started blinking. Oof. Yeah, this is the way it goes, huh? Well, I wish you luck with this. It's so fantastic. So fantastic. Chi-Chi takes commissions as well for whatchamacallums. VTuber VTuber TTS mascots. Live 2D TTS mascots. Let me snoop that VGen. Wow, look, it's VGen. Live 2D VTuber model art. Live 2D mascot. Look, it's Tart. It's Tart. She does emotes. She does other commissions. TV characters. Animal Crossing characters. Look at how adorable these are. Chi-Chi's so good. Chi-Chi's all like, Cheesecake's my favorite streamer, and I'm all like, Chi-Chi's my favorite streamer. But like, come on, look at this stuff. I love Chi-Chi, I love her art, I love her streams. She's a good cookie. That Chi-Chi. Thank you again so much for rating in. If anybody hasn't followed Chi-Chi yet, I can't do the shout out again, but click on her name and press follow, okay? Do it. If you got a raid and run though, feel free to do so. Oh yeah, for everybody who's come in, not liking Chi-Chi should be a war crime? What does that have to do with the war? Today, I'm drawing some doggies. This is the one that I've already drawn. Look. Can you see it? Can you see the likeness? It's a peace crime. Who's going to war? Chi-Chi, it's me and you. Who are we fighting against? Oh, have a good streaming spot. Thank you for stepping in. You want to draw my dog? I'm doing this as a Christmas gift. I got a bunch of commissions lined up too. Every day is a battle for world's cutest. Chi-Chi wins. Chi-Chi wins and my let's be real, Ayurisu wins. I use any pronouns if people didn't just assume someone called you he, you're a man, someone called you she, you're a woman. Yeah, I really get that. I really get that, Snail. Ayurisu is the true victor. Yeah, look at that. Look at that silly little smile. Ayu, you're so cute. But yeah, we're drawing dogs. This is a Christmas present for my housemate. My fellow's mom. These are her dogs. I live in the house that they live in. They live in the house that I live in. So I'm drawing them for her for Christmas. Because she loves these doggies. I can't tell you their names. What am I gonna dox them? Dog them? Yeah, Merry Christmas! Who you yeah, my fiance who I've been with for 12 years. Doug. You really can't pronounce that, can you? German Shepherd and Fluffy Cloud. There she is. Isn't she cute? Her wubby. That's her wubby. That's what we call that. X-Dog X could be one of those streamer names. I'd be surprised if that wasn't taken. I'm gonna snoop. It's not taken. There's D-Dog X. There's X-Dogpaw X. T-Dog. X-T-Dog X. 1XL Dog X1. Wait, this person like actively streams. I play games. Whoa, real life? Maybe I shouldn't snoop too much. Wait. This isn't real life, it's just Skate. How too impossible in Skate. Dox them like a dachshund. I straight up thought it was real life. What the heck? Games are getting too realistic. Ollie back foot impossible. Anyway, we're getting carried away. We have a second doggy to draw. We've drawn Fluffy Cloud. Fluffy Cloud Boy. Clean up the top of his head. We only have about a half hour left to stream today, by the way. It's Tuesday, which means I'm gonna go see my family today. I'm very happy about that. There we go. Just clean that up. Just clean that up some. Make this ear smaller. There we go. Much better. My pronouns are danger, because I'm a menace. My pronouns are gender, because I'm non-binary. Okay. I was kind of using this image for pose reference. And I think, like, it's sort of just a good setup. I actually need to feed yourself. You do. You really do. Have a food. Have a food, snail. So I think we'll put old girl over here. Acquire a food. Yeah, exactly. Last night I played a little RimWorld with my fiance. He's been crazy hooked on the game lately. But I was like, let's start a colony right here, and I'll supervise. RimWorld is not really usually my kind of game, but I wanted to like do something together, you know? Do something that's like, you know, engaging in his interests, right? Because I force my interests onto him all the time. Ooh, Costco hot dog. I can ignore the fact that I need food to live. Have a little snack, at least. But it was fun. The colonists that we ended up, or the pawns that we ended up getting, were, like, at the beginning, they were all men with beards. And so when it was time to name the colony, I decided we'll be called the Whiskerman League. The Whiskerman's League. Just like that. You need to stand up to get something? Oof. I feel you, Snail. I feel you. And we got another guy, but he's some sort of different species. Some sort of different species of kind of people. But I think he also had facial hair of some sort. But it's interesting. It's interesting. He was telling me about, in his other colony, his other world game that he's running, there's, a guy in his colony that has the traits staggeringly ugly, so people already don't like him, but he also has an annoying voice, and he's a nudist. And so, but he's also like crazy good at fighting. So yeah, he ended up dying. Yeah, you know, getting killed doing some sort of fighting or other. I was on someone's colony and my only trait I remember was violent. RimWorld, we're talking about RimWorld. I'd pick fights with everyone and break their arms. I couldn't imagine how you doing that. He ended up dying, and almost everyone in the colony was like, they had a mood buff because their rival Mark died. It's crazy. It's crazy. The only ones who didn't was like his sister and, you know, somebody else, I guess. But almost everybody in the colony was like, oh man, I hated that guy. Like, I'm interested. Once I, you know, sort of engaged with some gameplay last night, I realized that, how little micromanaging is involved, which is what usually, you know, drives me away from base builder games like that, sort of. But you pretty much, like, the colonists pretty much, the pawns pretty much do things by themselves. It's just like going around and checking if there's like things to be done that aren't being done and correct that. Make sure things are in fact being done. Oh, who's this adorable pupper? Hi, Ptolemy! This is a real dog that lives in my house. We're drawing him as a Christmas present. Shh! Shh! A Christmas present. Secret. Secret. And also this doggy. This doggy. They're the dogs that live in my house. One game of RimWorld, I had a violently depressed guy because his wife was a villager from a neighboring tribe that died in a raid against the colony. I spent the entire game trying to make him happy. I eventually found a cryostasis chamber and put him in it. Oh no! How do you make him happy? Don't worry, I never share a secret. Okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really interesting game, and I'm pleased to learn that there's not a lot of, you know, micromanaging to worry about. You kind of just have to set things up. You kind of just have to set things up and, the colonists will pretty much do all the little stuff. They'll decide what to do and you just have to, like, change things. German Shepherd. Smaller. Let's make them both panting, because that's happy dog face. Panting is happy dog face. Pet, thank you, Anne. Thank you. I have the pets really low because I had it on the other day when I was, I was streaming because I was having a bad time emotionally, I guess. But like having the pets, like, please give me affection. Please make me feel better. With the right people, I'm a really, like, snuggly affection kind of person. And it's a lot easier over the internet, too. How does drawing a German Shepherd work compared to drawing other dogs? What a cutie patootie. Absolute cutie patootie. Smaller. The only time I ever drew a dog, it was a robot dog. It was called Subwoofer. That's cute. Oh, Yellow's here. He's a daily dad joke. If it takes 8 men 10 hours to build a brick wall, how long would it take 4 men to build it? No time at all. The wall is already built. Whoa, I love that. I love that. That's a good one. I like that one. I like jokes that, like, subvert your expectations. It's good. It's good. Thank you, Yellow. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Wait, Prez is here. Prez Mop. When did you come in? Hi, I was on another stream. Oh, there you are. Hi. How's it going, friend? Sip, sip. Well, we got about 20 minutes left for stream. About 20 minutes. Is that what dogs look like? Ugh. Animals are so hard to draw. I should think about my friend Trusta. Trusta Process is their full name. What about soba noodles? I intend to make a New Year's Eve soba. That sounds yummy, Presmop. Yum, yum, yum. I feel like it's really not gonna look right unless you have, like, some of the color on the face, but you know, the shapes have to be right too. She's got just a little right here. You know what? Wait, maybe this is kind of looking like her. Ugh, animals are hard to draw. Nice jingle bells. They should make being EP legal. I think it is legal. What is this? Santa's sleigh from Club Penguin? Wow. The fairy lights are off. Nice and cozy. Thank you. Oh, wait, Takeo, welcome in. The Japanese tradition to have soba right before the new year. Ah, that sounds lovely. Soba. It's like a kind of soup, right? Wait, look at this illustration for this video. That's so cute. It's Link, I guess. little snow bokoblin and Guardian decorated like a Christmas tree. That's so silly. Oh, a battle royale, a big fight in the basement. This is really cute, actually. Who did this? Usually people like this will, people who make these playlists will put, illustrator. Ethereal! Oh my goodness, Ethereal! Thank you so much. Was that 10 gift subs? Wow! And we're suddenly kicked up to a level 3 hype train? Wait! Ethereal, thank you! These gift subs go out to Maxed Out, delightful Max, one of the beloved tricksters of the trade, Heathen Maple, Maple Squid Arts, 2 different Maples, like Kaios, Shenny123, Zaws, Max Ultra, Lunatel, Honey Garlic Fish Bones, Ganon 360, and Nady Cakes! Wow! Thank you, Ethereal! Happy birthday for subscribing to me. Thank you very much, because you could have watched for free. Please enjoy the emotes and watching without ads. Thank you for supporting me. I'm glad we could be friends. Yay! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Wow! Thank you so much for that! You know, these gift sub discounts are pretty great, huh? Oh, so was Buckwheat! Yippee! Oh, who ended up winning? Snail! Congrats on winning the Battle Royale, Snail. Hey, we've got a level 3 hype train going. If you would like a Twitch hype emote, which are really fun, actually, it takes only 1 sub, 1 gift sub, or only 100 bits. Which is a lot cheaper than a sub, honestly. But you know, gift subs are a beautiful way to appreciate the Crystal Cheesecake community. So, yee! Thank you again so much for that, Ethereal. Merry Christmas! Oh. People typically mean buckwheat noodles when they say soba. Okay. Yeah, that's usually what I think of. Common Ethereal W. Oh yeah, Ethereal is absolutely delightful. Yay! Wow. So delightful, thank you. Wow. Thank you for that too. That might be like one of my favorite hype emotes. I've got it too. There's also I think it's by the same person. What is it? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, this one. Love, love, love! There it is! Here, I can gigantify too. Love. Love, love, love. Isn't that cute? Yeah, hype emotes are good. They're good. And at higher levels like this too, level 3, you get like better animated ones and stuff like that. Oh, I also like this one. It was great. Yippee! There's a minute and a half left. You eat soba noodles right before the new year to let go of the previous year. Huh. Oh yeah, this is a golf one. Don't make me hungry, Prezimov. Ah, no worries. Oh, that one's cute too. Limited time emotes. Yeah, hype emotes are usually limited time too. Oof. So hard to doggy face. Maybe I can just paint in all of this color later. Ugh, boiled. We'll leave some of it. Well, hype train success! Yay! What'd I get? What'd I get? I'm spiraling emote. This is a Julie emote. I recognize that style anywhere. I'm spiraling. We love Julie. We're fans of Julie here. Julie 22. Oh, Danger Dance. That's a good one too. What a delightful mood. So delightful, so delightful. Oh, you weren't able to find Japanese soup stock? What was I about to say? Oh yeah, I'm thinking about, what kind of soup is usually served with New Year's soba? Could you just get, like, miso? Like, I feel like you could just find miso paste somewhere. Soba soup. I guess there's, I mean, of course, I'm sure there's tons of different kinds. I don't know what's like traditional for New Year's though. She looks like she's about to fly away with those ears. With those big ol' ears. Oh, especially she is really fluffy in certain areas. That might be what's looking so strange about this, is that she's not fluffy at all. But she's not as fluffy as this fluffy cloud over here. But she's definitely got that big sort of like shoulder collar of fluff. A sort of lion mane situation. Is this Christmas music? I guess there's like sleigh bells. You know, Super Mario 3D Land is a great game. Oh, Super Mario 3D World. Is that what this is? No, it's not. Oh, this is from New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Oh. Did it make her ears go up? Cause she's got up ears in this picture. She was a little younger though. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I think I did just need to make them look a little thinner. Don't worry about the dark spots yet. Cheesy, cheesy. I rarely draw dogs. It's very rare. What's the last... I don't know if this is the last time I drew a dog. Let me just leave a cursed emote at Mr. Jean's realistic cheesecake. Let me pull this up. Gotta find it real quick. But I did draw a dog a little while ago. Desktop. On my art folder. It's in my art slideshow. My art reel, like right above my head. Here we go. Pull it up real quick. Everyone loves realistic cheesecake. It's kind of unsettling. Why is it taking so long to send? I guess it is a pretty large image. Oh, we have an ad starting in about a minute. I appreciate you guys hanging around through the ad. Okay. Look! It's D&D characters! From the, like, Wild West campaign I did forever ago. This is Ruka. She's my character. My character, Ruka. I love Ruka. I love Ruka. And this is her dog, Ishamak. This little pupper down here. Ishamak. He's a corgi. She's a corgi. She's a corgi. Oh, hello. Welcome in, Zaz. Welcome in. You're a subscriber. Did you just get gift subbed? You didn't. That was from another time. Welcome in. You and your first time chat. I went like low detail on this because, you know, she's only so much of the image, but it's Ishamak. It's Ishamak. And this kitty in here is was only ever known as the cat. When did I make this? Did I sign it somewhere? Yes, I did. 2023, June 2023. Wow, wow. Incredible. Oh, thank you. I am really proud of this one, actually. This train sure is hard to draw. Trains sure are hard to draw. You want to know what I did? Especially for all the like machinery and stuff. I traced. I traced it. And I'm not even ashamed. I'm not ashamed by any means whatsoever. But yeah, I'm super, super happy with how this came out. Super happy. Ruka. Those train wheels look tiny. Don't worry about it. The image isn't about the train. It's about the people. Whoa. Whoa, I got a message from somebody. He spelled my name wrong. And I can't even talk about I can't even talk about it because that would be to tell you my human name. Somebody who knew me from the game store I worked at. Yeah, they spelled my name Chezcaca. I really, it's not right. Well, imagine somehow magically there was a Crystal Cheesecake plush. So that's theoretically possible. I put an application in with Makeship a while ago and they were like, no, we won't do it. So, I guess we don't get a cheesecake plushie yet. Unless, like... unless, like, we went through... Like, cause Makeship, you don't have to pay to start. You know? But there's other, like, platforms that'll make, such things. But you do have to pay to start. 10 billion subscribers for plushie. There's also this picture of her. Aww. Her birthday. Birthday doggy. I didn't open up this one either. Oh, she was much younger at this point. Look at that girl. She's so doggy. She's just so doggy. Yeah, I would love to do plushies, but it's not yet. Maybe, you know, I feel like next, what do you call it? Next year, we might end up trying to push for partner. So, yeah. We will probably get, you know, if we do so, we'll probably get more, you know, more of whatever Makeship is looking for. Popularity. Expanding the content, whatever. I don't know if I want to do it. Like, it sounds like a big thing, pushing for a partner. It sounds like something that would end up being exhausting. But I'm sure it would be worth it. gotta get going soon here. Maybe in the next like 5 or 10 minutes. I got family to go see tonight. What do your paws look like, girl? Nice paws in that picture. Guys, I don't like how this looks. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, maybe it is time to revisit this later. Revisit it another time. Of course, it's, you know, December 23rd, and I need to have it done before the 25th, so it can't be too much later. But, we're going to revisit that another time, for sure. Or I'm going to revisit it. We do have a fun stream we're doing tomorrow. You got this? Aw, thank you, Chi-Chi. Thank you. I can't keep the fairies apart from each other. Strange magics will probably occur. What do you mean, the fairies? Which fairies? Ah! Oh my goodness. You know what Salty's doing? Christmas karaoke. Christmas karaoke. So we're gonna raid my sweet friend Salty. Salty has been streaming. Salty is one. She's been streaming for longer than I have, and she's like, guys, don't tell her, but she's like one of my inspirations. One of my absolute idols. Oh, needing to wrap up his family. My human family. My human form is going to visit my human family. My fairy form hasn't seen their family in a little while. By no fault of anybody. There's lore. But my human form needs to go see their human family. No, I love Salty. I love Salty so much. So we're gonna go raid her. Amazing pixel artist. Every single little thing that you see on her stream, like every asset you see on her stream was made by her. Except for this Christmas model. Somebody else made that. It was like a gift or something. It's super cute though. Yeah, stream ending. Maybe a little soon, but you know, it's kind of normal for Tuesday stream to end early. Cause I go see my family on Tuesdays. So yeah. We're gonna hang out with Salty. We're gonna listen to her sing a little bit. And we're gonna go have a fantastic Christmas Eve. Okay? Let's get our raid call. So let's copy these sparklies. We're not using that raid call. Let's get a snowflake. Yeah. There we go. Merry fairies are raiding. Make a wish. There we go. There's our first raid call with sparkles, complete with sparkles. And then let's get our one with wave emotes. There we go. Okay, raid calls are super duper important. When we raid out to somebody, Twitch counts us as viewers only if we send a message in their chat. Okay, because Twitch is stinky like that. And also it's really fun to get a bunch of messages in chat when you get raided. Okay? Oh my god, she's doing like my favorite song. Okay, let's get over there. Slash raid. Saltiest bun. Yeah, let's go, let's go. Huh? Invalid. Does it need to not have an ad on it? Whatever. Well, we're gonna raid Salty. We're gonna listen to her sing Sleigh Ride together because I love that song. Copy the raid message, throw her a follow when you get there. She's an 18+ channel, but even if you raid, or even if you leave, even if you lurk, throw in the raid call, because it's gonna help her out a lot, okay? We love Salty, let's go see Salty. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will always, love yourselves, love each other, and love the world. I'll see you guys tomorrow for my Christmas Eve party. Bye-bye!